Good morning and Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, MegaGoal 135, Navigating Through Your Coursebook Beyond the Classroom. Thank you again. We're more than 500 people, so let's give it a start for now. This webinar is specially designed for secondary level teachers. Then this is session 1. So this webinar is for secondary level teachers. This is session 1. We have an afternoon session at 1 p.m. There are 5 sessions in total, so hoping you have registered for all 5 of them. You should be able to register all 5 of them and receive the confirmation email. I will get into that detail later, but we will be covering MegaGoal 1, 3, and 5. It's for secondary teachers. This is session 1. Before I go on any further, welcome. There might be new teachers who have joined or secondary teachers. Just want to make sure if the audio is okay and you can hear me. So if you can hear the audio connection and my voice, there is a hand icon on the right side of the screen. You will find the hand icon just below your name. Can you please click on the hand icon if you can hear my voice? Cool, brilliant. Thank you, it's clear. That's great to know. In case you are having a problem to hear the audio, you will have to connect to the audio once you log into the WebEx. Just dropping in the chat box how you can do that. Your moderators for today quickly are myself, Sarish, my colleagues Minerva, Nikos, Medani, and Nasir. We're here to help you in the background to answer any questions you may have, or if you face any trouble, please make sure you troubleshoot it to us, and we're more than happy to assist you there. So let us know about this. Moving on to the trainer, we have got Danai, a wonderful speaker. Danai is a teacher educator, a content developer, and also an author. She successfully delivered several training workshops for supervisors and teachers in Saudi Arabia. She's also co-authored the Saudi edition. So thanks, Danai, for joining us for the sessions today.
Thank you.
Danai is usually going to refer to a handout during the session. Some of you might be familiar, not sure how many are joining us from the intermediate sessions, but this link has 2 handouts, which she might refer to during the session, and you are able to download these handouts. So you'll just have to click the download and you will be able to download them. On this link, there are 2 handouts for this session. I'll move on to the housekeeping slides now really quickly. I don't want to take too much of your time, but understand these are important. And as I said, this is session 1 for teachers, so I'm assuming a lot of you are new here. Once you get into the WebEx, you have to, like I said, connect to the audio in order to hear us. But if you're facing any connectivity issues with the audio, we recommend you can use the call-in function with your phone. Although I'm assuming that's checked out because we just checked the audio and lots of hands up means the audio is clear. We do recommend you close down any high networking apps such as Netflix, YouTube, any gaming platform, as this is going to affect the bandwidth of your webinar. So we just avoid doing that. And then you will be receiving a certificate of participation after the webinar. So not right now, but towards the end of the week, perhaps even next week, because we'll have to sort out the names and everything. So you will receive it once the first semester coursebook webinar series is completed, which means all of this is completed then. And then, so watch out for that. It's going to show up in an email. So watch out for the email and you will be able to download this. What else is there? We have a Q&A in the end, of course. So after an hour is up, by 11, we will start with the Q&A. Those of you who have to leave are free to leave, that's fine. But some people who want to stay back for the Q&A, you can stay back for the Q&A. So it's up to you entirely. Moving on to the Q&A and the chat box, you see both of these on the right side of the screen. The Q&A box is located on the right corner of your screen, and we encourage you to ask any questions, and we will try to cover this as we go along. If you have any audio issue or anything at all, let us know, that one of the moderators can support you with that. We also have the chat function, so any comments that you have or you want to engage with the presenter, use the chat box. So the Q&A box is for questions related to the content. And if you want to present, answer to the presenter, because Dana is going to interact with you, so you can use the chat box for any comments or any engagement with the presenter. Our moderators are here in the background to help you out with any of these. And also, lastly, you are being automatically marked present in this webinar. So you don't need to mark your attendance anywhere. You are, once you've logged in, you are marked attended automatically by the system. You don't have to sign in your attendance anywhere. You must have also noticed that you can only see yourself during the webinar. You are not able to see other participants. You're not in a hidden list or anything. There are 680 people who have joined us today. But however, you can only see your name. That's because of GDPR purposes. That's why you won't be able to register. You won't be able to, unable to view, you won't be able to see the other participants. And the same way, in the chat box, you will not be able to see the comments of the other people who have sent in their comments. This is also because of privacy and GDPR. So you can only see your comments, but we are here, we can see your comments, we can, and usually then I read this out for you, so you know what's going along and you will be able to follow along. And about the registration, so we do have a maximum number of registrants for each webinar, and this is 1,000. So once you have registered online and it has crossed 1,000, you will receive an email to say that the event has reached maximum capacity and we are no longer taking registrations or something like that. So I hope you have all registered for the 5 days, 5 sessions, sorry. We have one in the afternoon as well. I can cover this in the end of the session because I don't want to take too much time with Danai. But yeah, you will just have to register and you will receive the email. Please use the link that you receive in your email to log into the webinar. Every link is unique, so we encourage that please do not use your colleague's link to log into the webinar because that's going to create an issue with the certificate, and it's not going to be, your certificate is going to have your colleague's name basically. So make sure you use your own link to log into the webinar. For 5 sessions, there you will receive 5 links. So every link is different. Just covering this because this is the first session. So there's a different link. The 10 a.m. link is not going to work for the 1 p.m. link because it's a different time altogether. Similarly, tomorrow, you have a different link to register. You will be receiving a confirmation email, but you'll also be receiving a reminder email. So you guys who are already 700 people who are in the webinar must have received a reminder email this morning. And you can use either the reminder email or the confirmation email to log into the webinar. And I guess that's all from my end. Just going through the chat box if you have any questions for me before I give it to Danai. Any questions, please let me know in the chat box. Otherwise, I can pass over. What about the next 2 days? If you have registered, the link should already be with you. If you have not registered, then please do register. Avoid registering again. Siham, what is your question again? It says, answer me, please. I didn't get the question. How can we, if you did not receive the link for tomorrow, register. If you register, you will receive the link for tomorrow. If you have already registered, you don't need to register again. The download, the file that I have sent is a handout. You can download it right now, that's fine. I cannot share the registration link, I'm sorry, because this is a unique link. It's not, I'm sorry, I keep repeating this again. And my only ask is if for those who have understood the process, please explain it to your colleagues because we want to be there to help you out. I don't have a unique general registration link that I can give. It's automatically sent out when you register for each session. You didn't get the reminder email for, you must have received it for this morning, Ala. You will get the one for the afternoon by 11. Okay, thank you. I guess that's it. You can't share chat. Sorry, I just mentioned like You won't be able to share or view the chat, but like I said, Danai will be able to read out the comments for you, so you know you're there. Every email is going to have one link, by the way. So every email is going to have one link. 5 emails will have 5 different registration links. If you're having issues, let me know in the chat box and I can help. Yes, there is a limit, 1,000 people, but I will pass on over to Danai meanwhile and be in the background to answer your queries. Thank you, Danai. Over to you.
Thank you, Suresh. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm not sure whether there are any attendants from last week or other sessions. Those of you who have attended more sessions, you might recognize some of the handouts, or they're not, some of them are not exactly the same, but they're similar. Methodology obviously doesn't change. But I also realize that there are people who have just joined. So welcome to the webinars. I saw a question whether there are only 5 sessions, 5 webinars. Yes, there are 5 this time around. Okay, sorry. All right, we're talking about secondary. And first of all, before we do anything else, in order to teach, what do you need? What is an absolute presupposition? What do you need? Materials, yeah. What else do you need? A plan. Great. Students, thank you. You need students. Okay. As we discuss things, textbooks, yes. As we discuss things, you gain knowledge, plan, objectives, curriculum, and so on and so forth. But most of all, you need your students, yes? Smartboards, yes, all the resources. But you need the students, I repeat. Without learners, there isn't really all that much you can do. Yes, learning culture. Okay. So let's think about the learners. We're dealing with older teenagers, otherwise called young adults. Technology, yes, this is what we're using these days. I am not, unfortunately, in Saudi Arabia this time. I have to address you online, and you have to do a lot of your work, your teaching online as well. Okay, so older teenagers, young adults, yes, electronic materials, okay. Now, somebody can't hear. What do you think about older teenagers, young adults? Are they the same as younger teenagers? Your learners when they're in intermediate? No. Okay. No. What would you say were some of the differences? Okay, difficult to learn than younger. No. Interest, yes. The way they think. Okay. They need caring. Energy. They have a lot of energy, like challenge. Yes, they can get emotional. They have their own personality, character, sensitive, need motivation. They want to prove themselves. They want to be attractive, hard to keep them motivated. Okay, and all that. Is everybody exactly the same? Competitive, difficult to engage them, okay? No, they're not all the same. So we have individual learner differences within as well. But from what you said, for example, if you look at these blanks, the sentences with the blanks, what would you say? They are different. It's what to keep them interested. They have different learning styles. Yes, absolutely. It's important to keep them interested. It's essential to keep them interested. Important, yes. You have to encourage them, okay? It's challenging to keep them interested, yes. Okay. Topics match their interests. Okay, the topics, yes. You worry that the topics might or might not match their interests. Okay. Necessary. All right. It's necessary to keep them interested. Good. To respect them. Okay. Some of you are probably looking at the handouts or not. Okay. What about the next item? They enjoy group work. They, to communicate with each other. They have to communicate. They need to communicate. They like, yes. They need to communicate. They must communicate. They need. Okay. All right. Okay. What are they influenced by? Fears. What else? Fears. Influences. What else? Friends. Media. Okay. Others. Other people. Visual content. Okay. Social media. Yes. Okay. What are they influenced by was the question. Teacher treatment. Okay. So the way the teacher behaves, in other words, yes. Personality, colleagues. Okay. How do they feel in general at this point in their learning career? Confused. Excited. Why would they feel excited or confused? Yes. What are they worried about? A new stage. Yes, it is a new stage. Vision. Some of them like confidence, new experiences. Okay, so they're looking outwards, yeah? They're looking different era. Yes, they're looking beyond school. They're looking they worry about the future, yes? How about responsibility? Sometimes distracted. Okay. How do they feel about taking on responsibility? Afraid to take on responsibility. That's interesting. They tend to take on responsibility. They are afraid to take on responsibility. Learning, okay? They try to take on responsibility. Looking forward to it, okay? They're looking forward to what the future. Okay. Some of them are confident. Yes, you've moved on, I think. What sort of things engage them? They're adventurous, yes? Games, absolutely. Absolutely, okay. Real life situations, activities, okay, challenge, yes. Stories, empowerment, yes. Okay, fine. Social media, okay. You mentioned that they are concerned, they're worried about the future, personal ideas, traditional methods, interactive activities. Yes, thank you. Experiences. And they're under pressure. Why? Where is the pressure coming from? Parents, okay. Older adults, the expectations they have from them, okay. Thinking about their future path, what they're going to do. Judgment, good. Okay, they're under. I don't understand that. They're moody. Yes, they can be moody. They've got quite a lot. Ambitious, yes. We've got quite a lot to think about. They do wonders. Yes, they do. They can do wonders. Yes. They think about getting high marks. Yes, they need high marks. They can do anything. Temperament. Okay. All right. Some of them are too shy. They're ashamed to speak in front of their friends. Yes, they're afraid of making mistakes. Good. Okay, fine. All that, and different people. And when you say those things, do you think of a whole group or do you think of individuals? Individuals. Yes, you think both. Yeah, fine. Yes, both. Each group will have its own kind of dynamic. Yes, we're talking about group dynamics, but there are the individuals within that group. Good, great. Okay, one of the things to try and avoid is to stereotype too much. Okay, to come up with blanket statements that they're all the same. Okay, so some of you mentioned games. Yeah, you mentioned social media. Okay. You need to get them involved in the lessons. Yes, I agree. This is the most important thing, to keep them active, to keep them involved in the lesson. Yeah, real life items, but some of you think it's easy to get them interested and focused. Okay. So different opinions within. Okay, what about podcasts? Yes, great. For listening to. All right, so basically what you're talking about is all the things that learners tend to do beyond the classroom, yes? Is this relevant for us? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is extremely relevant, and this is why we need to get to know our learners. We need to find out what they do, how they do it, what sort of things they're interested in, and try to link what we do with that. Okay, they hesitate to communicate with each other. Does this have to do with mistakes again? We should think about them before it. Yes, absolutely. So the first thing to think about and the first thing to focus on are your learners. And then you can focus on all the rest of your resources, including your course book. Okay, I can see your comments coming in. That's great. Thank you so much for participating. You see, we are at a distance, but we can still communicate. We can interact. Thank you so much. Okay, so some teacher requests and queries, and tell me if you disagree. What teachers might think or say. We need clear guidelines. Someone to show us how to use the materials. Access to all the components. Okay, clear step-by-step teacher's notes. Optional additional material for some of our students. Time limit, yes. To find out what our students know, what we've been talking about. We need to find out what our students are interested in. We need to optimize speaking time for our students, and you can add a lot more there. So these 2 points, we need to find out what our students know, and we need to find out what our students are interested in. Okay, how can we find that out? Yes, KLW strategy. Yeah, but that you can do in relation with the kind of work that you're doing with text and so on. Yes, fine. How else can you find out? A survey, yes, a survey, a little questionnaire, find out what they're interested in. Yes, very good. Okay. You can actually put global trends. Okay. You can put down things like, okay, sports, art. Okay. Not an exam per se, but if you have a very simple questionnaire where they can tick what they're interested in and what they know about, you can keep that on file. Okay. If you discuss with them, yes, of course, you can find out. You find out about them all the time. Yeah. Yes, you pull everything. Okay. Answer yes. The thing is, the reason I'm stressing the need for a survey, for a questionnaire that they can fill in, is so you can have a record of things. It really helps when you're planning your lesson. Okay, more teacher comments. We need to know how long we can spend on different sections. Let them decide on the classroom norms. It helps. Yes, you can negotiate that with them. How to prioritize aims and goals. Okay, this keeps on coming because you're worried about your curriculum and so on. So when we look at the material, we'll look at where you can find all those things. But please, one of the things that I'm going to be repeating time and time again, yes, you can use different materials, you can adapt. But please, you need to use your teacher's guide. Even if you decide to do something more interesting or something different, that will at least provide the aims that you need to cater for in your lesson. We need to know preparation. Yes, very important. How to assess our students. Okay, student assessment. I'm not talking about the final exam. I'm talking about on an ongoing basis. I'm talking about formative assessments. In other words, how do you find out how much they have developed, what they need, what they have learned, what they need more work on, conversations, and what do you do, formative and summative? Yes, thank you. How do you find out how much they've developed? Yeah, you could do through discussion. So, okay, that's really more formal. Okay, on an ongoing basis, however, means as you work through things in class. Okay, we'll get back to that point. All right. We need to know which topics are interesting for our students. Okay, you give them worksheets, yes. How to present language in context, give them tasks, yeah. How to practice new language, how to deal with vocabulary, what kind of tasks and questions are useful, how to make our learners think, and preferably think critically. Okay, if you're concerned about your students, not performance tasks, yes, speaking and forming sentences, anything that is going to keep them active, involved, doing things, which of course means that you can't lecture through your lesson. You have to conduct your lesson in such a way so that you give your students opportunities to practice, yes, set up tasks, activities. They are going to love the language, then you need to make them love the language. Well, okay, yes, if you can. But more than anything, just try and attract their attention and involve them through interesting tasks, basically, and interesting activities. Okay. Now let's have a look at your course component. All right. We're talking about 1, 3, and 5 in the first semester. We're not going to be able to do every single thing that we might all want because we've got limited time. Yeah, the ongoing teacher problem. Okay, oops, sorry. This is not SuperGoal, it's MegaGoal. Student book, audio program, workbook, teacher's guide, which is interleaved, so it's easy to use. Test bank, interactive whiteboard software, and active book for the students. Learning center, which is optional, but you might find it useful given the online work that you're doing. Okay. Just let me say something about the components. You need to register in order to get, in order to access the resources, the teacher resources. Okay. Now, different sections online. You can find the resources online. I haven't got all the details, but they are available for you. But you have to register if you want access to the teacher resources. Yes. Okay. So, MegaGoal 1. Encourage students even though they're making mistakes. Absolutely. We'll be discussing mistakes and correction and all that throughout our sessions today, tomorrow. Okay, but let's have a look at the topics of MegaGoal 1. We've got big changes, careers, what will be, the art of advertising, did you hurt yourself, take my advice. So it's advertising, accidents, advice for problem situations, solving problems, the future, careers, okay, big changes in the world. So I think, through these topics, you are given leeway, you have a way to access things that they're interested in and that they're finding out about through the internet, through the games they're playing, through the discussions that they're making. Another thing to not overlook is as you work through your books, please look at scope and sequence in your book, in your teacher's book, actually, if you want. All right, so you can have a quick look so you can see exactly what the language points are, if there are any specific strategies, and you can add to it. In other words, what I'm suggesting is that you use this as a working document for yourself. So add things. It's important to know what your main aims are going to be. Okay, and this is, thank you, awesome topic, yes. This is, okay, this is 4, Unit 4, yeah, the art of advertising. Okay, as you can see, the listen and discuss is the presentation, yeah, of the topic, but it's also the initial presentation of key vocabulary and grammar. Okay. So it presents the unit theme, sets the communication context, deals with key grammar points, key vocabulary. How do we work through it? We work through it by basically asking, learners to think about the topic, to make suggestions. So you might give them questions. You might begin with a visual. All right. If you want to begin with visuals, pictures in your book, fine. If not, it's really easy to get other pictures. Yes, brainstorming. You can get them to brainstorm. Okay, one possibility is give them, all right, the items without any visuals: compact cars, suitcase, the fold-up bike, okay? And get them to brainstorm and speculate about what the advertisement is about, which compact cars they can think of nowadays. Yes, it could be what do you know about advertising, but we also try and make it a little more specific. Okay, so you could give it to different groups even, all right? What about comparison? Yes, we're going to get there. Okay, in other words, you can hand this out to group, another group, another group. But basically, it's not totally unstructured. You need to set a task. You need to give them some questions. Now, there are ideas in your teacher's guide, or you could give them similar advertising. You're right. So get them, first of all, what you do is you activate what they know, you raise expectations, you ask them to make a note of the ideas of what they expect. You could even ask them to think about possible words, vocabulary that they expect to find, or the kind of information, the kind of language they expect to find, so that you can activate things. Remember, at this stage, they're definitely not beginners, and I'm sure you have a lot of students, as a lot of your colleagues have already mentioned. You have a lot of students who are quite fluent because they watch videos, films, they play games online, so basically they know quite a lot and can do quite a lot in English, among other things. Yes, they can use their own words, getting the vocabulary meaning from context for words that they don't know. Yes, but let's keep it, can we sort of try and keep it focused? I'm trying to put you through, kind of get through some stages. So the initial stage, whatever you do, has to do with addressing learners, activating knowledge, be it background knowledge, specific knowledge, and possibly related language. Okay. Other features. They can't express answers in, you say they answer in Arabic. Why? Why? Okay, I'm going to hit a difficult subject now. Yes, you can do a lot of things with advertisements, but you're in a hurry. You're asking, you're going straight for the creative activities. In order to get there, and particularly if you want to be inclusive, you'll have to go through clear stages. We don't have the courage to answer in English. All right. Can we, please? Okay. Huge gap between the curriculum and the students sometimes. Why? Why do you think that is the case? Okay. Can we deal with a difficult subject? Translation. They don't use the language. Why don't they use the language? You mean in class? Yes, you need interactive activities. You need to allow them time to work in pairs, to work in groups, to talk to each other, just to speak in class in order to practice, okay? And we will go through certain stages. You can't go straight into open-ended practice. If you do that, then you're only addressing the students who know and can do it, don't like to work harder to practice. So you don't make it an issue, you just do it in class. They're afraid to use the language so they don't make mistakes. Yes, you're raising all the issues, and that's great. Okay. But yes, giving time, encouragement, absolutely. Okay. Can we carry on with? God, you have quite a bit to say through all the passage and explain it to them. No. Okay, please. Let's deal with this. This business of going through the passage and explaining it to them. Why aren't they accustomed to doing things in English or through English in class? When you say explaining, do you mean translating into Arabic? No? Yes? Well, that's a problem, isn't it? Maybe? Yes? Okay. The students who are at this point, at this level, haven't started attending English classes yesterday. I mean, they're supposed to have been attending, explain it in using their own words. Yes, but in order to do that, they need to be able to practice over the years, practice, be very practical. No, not grammar translation method. Of course, they will answer in Arabic if you've been using Arabic all the way through. This is the reason we try to avoid it. You only resort to Arabic if you come across something that is so complicated and difficult to deal with in English that it would take you about a week to do. Then yes, naturally, you would help them in Arabic. Yes, I know you're stuck with the curriculum. You need flexibility. This is what I'm trying to talk to you about. Practice. Practice doesn't mean explaining to learners all the time. It doesn't depend on the students only. It depends on what you do with your students, in class or online. In other words, baby steps. Okay. I'm not going to be answering all the questions now because, yes, this is getting very difficult. I know you have students, not all the students are the same. We established that. They can differ in many ways. And in terms of English, yes, you do have mixed ability classes, but then all classes are mixed ability classes. There is no single class that is exactly the same, okay? Yes, well, if they're weak, as you say in English, then they need to have more opportunities to speak. Okay, so how long are your sessions? 45 minutes, an hour. Okay. How long do you speak? Please, can we keep to that? 85%, most of the time, sadly too long. Okay, fine. Now we're getting somewhere all the time. Thank you very much. All class, okay. This is the problem, isn't it? Half of the time is good. Okay, you're asking different questions. Please, can you be patient? We're not going to answer all of them in this session. Yes, you need to make more time for students to practice, to speak more, okay? And you are given that, possibility through the tasks that you have in your material. So look at the teacher's guide, please. if you start going through this page, for example, and as you said, explain, we can talk about the curriculum a bit later. If you go through this and explain every single thing that's on the page, will there be any time for them to check vocabulary, will there be any time for you to check comprehension, which is the first thing that you want? Will there be any time for them, if they have brainstormed, to compare their ideas with what they actually find in the text? Will there be any time for them to do any pair work? No. There will be no time for your learners to practice. They don't have to, yes, they have to be exposed to English, but they also you need to create opportunities for them to use very specific language that they're practicing, that they're learning in the lesson. So, no, don't ask them to go through the text and underline the words they don't know. That is part of grammar translation. Please use the teacher's guide. Okay. You can't get them interested, nor can you get them to really like what they're doing if you ask them to look for what they don't know first. This is why we begin with knowledge, what they know, okay? If you keep doing that each time, in other words, going back to the text, underlining words, you're going for grammar translation method. You can't expect learners to learn that way. Yes, the warm-up can help. Well, this is what we've been talking about. When you get them to look at the pictures and brainstorm, or you give them each product and you ask them to try and think about compact cars and how they might describe them and words that they might use to do so, just for a few minutes, and then discuss. That is warm-up, but it's more than a warm-up. It's translation method destroys, yes, your students' the potential. Yes, of course we link the topic with interest. Different English levels in the same class. All classes will have different people, different levels. This is why we're interested in doing inclusive work. Large numbers of people you can deal with only if you organize and you train your learners to work in pairs or in groups. That will optimize the time you have for your students. Yes, flipped learning is a good strategy, but again, can we keep to what we're doing? So, do you remember what I said the aim was here for this page? What is it supposed to do? The listen and discuss stage of your lesson. What is the purpose? Present information about the topic, discuss, key vocabulary and grammar. Okay? Basically to activate their knowledge, present the topic, through the topic, and expose them to the grammar items and the key vocabulary of the unit. All right, so those are the aims. It's not to go through every single word in the text, analyze it, and get them to learn it. This is not what we want to do. Some of you have mentioned already that you can train them to try and understand words from visuals. Yes, absolutely. You can get them to understand words from the context. Okay, can we just So, unit theme, communication context, grammar points, key vocabulary. Yes, let them get. Quick check is comprehension, focusing on the content, yes. Key vocabulary activity. So I'm going back, that's here. Yes, you get them to work out the meaning, guess the meaning if you like. Okay, pair work. Gives you the chance to use grammar, vocabulary, personalized communication, relate to content. Okay, so, okay. For example, here they need to find sentences that give them facts about the 4 products that they read about and make questions for those facts. So they are practicing, they're going through things. Yes, pair work is very good, and pair work is an opportunity to practice. This is more important than getting them to analyze these are not texts for analysis. We're not doing grammar translation. Grammar translation is a very old method that was used particularly to study about language, not to learn language in order to communicate so much. People did do that as well, so studied the language and then managed to communicate. That was centuries ago. It was not geared to communication. How do you use pair work with online teaching? That's a very good question. Okay, we're going to be looking at all kinds of models of interaction in other sessions, but if you have any chat rooms, if you have functions that can help you, you can send them to work in pairs or in groups. I know that a number of people have mentioned that in teams you have one team room. I'm trying to tell you how to manage your lesson and how to manage your time. But what I would like to repeat again, you can't do things that will keep your students active, interested, and engaged, okay, and give them opportunities to use the language if you also insist on analyzing every single thing on the page. Please use the teacher's guide. This is exactly why, because you only have 45 minutes. You need to see how to go through this. If you explain, okay. May I ask you something? Please, give me the chance. What do you remember from what I said 20 minutes ago? Learners. You can't remember, can you? No. It's impossible. If you want people to learn, you have to get them involved, okay? I'm going to go through the old tell me and I'll forget, okay? Show me and I'll remember, involve me and I'll learn. Grammar is in context, okay? In context. In the next session, we're going to look at grammar in context specifically, and I hope it will help. You don't explain. You try to help your learners understand and find out. Okay, there is nothing here aside from the pair work. There's nothing that you can't do online. And by the way, working online, do you want your teachers to see you all the time? Follow the teacher's guidelines. Yes, thank you. Understand words from context. Yes. The students don't have to see you online all the time. If they're working on a particular activity, or you want them to work on a particular activity, put the activity on the screen, not yourself. You can speak to them. Let me ask you. Yes, good. They don't have to see you. Am I with you? Are we talking? Are we communicating? Is this an interactive session as much as we can make it? Yes, but we are communicating, aren't we? Can you see me? No, you can't see me, but am I here? I want to see you too. Yes, absolutely I'm here. Yes, I wish I was there. I wish I were in Saudi. Hopefully in the future. Inshallah. Who knows? Okay. Some visuals they can't concentrate on. Okay, let me say one thing about visuals. You can certainly use the visuals in your book, but somebody mentioned flipping learning earlier. In other words, asking them to prepare something for the lesson. I'm oversimplifying here. Flipping has to do with reversing roles, yeah? Yes, a flipped classroom, reversing roles from teacher to learners. Okay. Now, you could go through your class on a rotating basis and ask people to find visuals on the web to use for different lessons. Not the same people all the time. Let them take turns. This sort of thing works a lot better if things are done on a collaborative basis and if you form teams. I won't stop saying that. Okay, it's hard to motivate them. You mean online? Well, it's not got to do so much with online. What you need to bear in mind is that you're dealing with learners who are basically technology natives. No, you don't need to explain everything. Yes, it is challenging to form teams when you're working online, but it's well worth it. Okay, grammar. This follows on from this. This is where the grammar and the vocabulary appears in context. This is where you stop and break it down. And what I would say here is you ask them to go back here and find examples of the grammar that you're looking at after you've looked at the table. Okay? You've got exercises. It's going to be above some of the some students' level, but they're going to be students who know more or who know different things and are quite fluent. I would insist on that. This is a generation that is exposed to English. Don't tell me that they don't use English outside of class. Maybe some don't, but I think a great number of your students. Examples after or before teaching grammar. Examples in context. You get them to look at the examples and discover the grammar item through them. This is what I would go for. But try, please, not to go for single sentence examples immediately. So they help them to go back to the content and discover grammar. Absolutely. This is what we're talking about. And this is what you have the material to do. But quite honestly, if you insist on analyzing and translating every single thing here, you're making it more difficult than it is, because you're basically breaking away from real life. Your students are exposed to advertising constantly, all the time. It's not anything new. And because, yes, they can get it from the context, and because in advertising, we naturally use comparators. We compare things, and comparative superlatives as good as, and so on and so forth. It's an ideal context to use for comparatives and superlatives, okay? This is why this particular topic is supporting that grammar, or is it the grammar first, or is it the topic first? Does language exist because of grammar? Topic, thank you. Thank you. Okay, fine. Topic. Okay. But at any rate, in the grammar section, you've got grammar forms, charts, the grammar summary. You can use a grammar reference. It shows you the use and the meaning. But again, I would suggest that you get them to try and think about it and discover grammar from the first part of your unit, the listen and discuss. Functions, practice activities and exercises. Do you need to do all the exercises? Yes and no. It depends on what else you want to do. If you don't want to do these exercises, but you want to do other exercises, other tasks, for some reason, as long as they're appropriate. If not, again, get them to look at these. You might ask them to look at these outside of class. Come into class, come into the online lesson, put this on the board, get the learners to suggest answers. Yes, you choose exercises. Oops. All right. Okay. More language in context. Okay. This is a separate bit. Again, it gives them the opportunities, okay, to relate to what they know, to relate to real life, and to practice in a less guided manner, okay? Listening for details, listening for information, okay? Pronunciation is important in terms of awareness. I know what you're going to say is that it's not important for your students to have a perfect answer. Possibly not, but they need to have clear enough answer so it's intelligible, they can be understood. But more than that, they should get used to connected speech, be aware of how things change when people speak so they can understand different speakers. About you, very important bits. This you can see comes later in the lesson when they relate what they've been doing to themselves, okay, and very specific tasks there. The conversation will give you little episodes and also multiple endings. They can choose the ending and they can, if they want, they can suggest their own ending. Okay, again, followed by about the conversation, your turn. I know some people are having to leave. So in the section we've just seen a range of different activities, provide opportunities for learners to relate the topic to real life, personalize, interact, research, present, discuss, compare ideas. There is quite a range depending on the topic and the language that they've been using. Listening for a purpose, specific information, details, and so on. Not all of them every time, but they have to see the questions, they have to see the task first and then listen. They don't have to listen and hear and identify every single word. There is a whole range of listening tasks. Choose the right answer, complete, make notes, and so on. Answer open-ended questions. Okay, pronunciation we've already spoken about. Okay. And about you, students talk about themselves, putting into practice what they've learned. They develop fluency in communication skills. Yes, jigsaw listening is very good, and jigsaw listening can be done online better than it can be done in the classroom. Okay. Conversation. Okay, spoken language in everyday situations, in context. Illustrated episodes sometimes, not always. You get illustrated episodes mostly in MegaGoal. Functions, vocabulary, expressions, multiple endings, role play, acting out in your turn. Learners can vary context. They can change the characters, names, settings for their own role play. Personalized version of the conversational parts of it in about you, so relating to their own life. Learners can speak about themselves by interviewing each other, reporting on each other, and so on. I realize we have to stop in a minute. Okay, and then you get to the reading, which we're going to talk about reading and listening in one of the sessions. Again, 3-stage approach, pre-listening, while listening, post-listening. It does all of these things. You have different types of text, not only one type of text, because we want learners to be exposed to different genres. Most of your learners who use the internet are already exposed to different genres, but we want to raise awareness. We want them to become aware of how texts change. That's going to come in useful when they do writing as well. So this, again, very important. In the initial stage, activating and using prior knowledge, discovering, working out meaning from context, scanning, skimming, making inferences, and so on. The tasks in reading vary depending on content and genre. As I said, we're going to do more on receptive skills tomorrow. Okay. Writing. Okay, writing has become very important these days. You know that because people will communicate through email, they'll use chat. Okay, chat is not a specifically written language format. It's an in-between. It's a different type of genre. It's like scripted spoken language. But basically what you're getting in writing is again a 3-day, roughly a staged approach, roughly 3 to 4 stages. There is where we train them to go through the process. You don't have to present this passage. This passage is there for the students to read silently and to identify certain features so that they can use it as a model to write their own. Okay, look at the teacher's guide if you want ideas on how to use it. And I'm sure you'll get some of your own too that are going to be even better. And the right corner that you saw here The writing corners are very helpful because they will give you the key aspects of the genre, of the type of writing, of any points that are key but might be confusing, demanding. Okay, I want to go back to what you said about your curriculum, form, meaning, and function. Yes, you like the writing corner, that's great. Okay, form, meaning, and function includes more items, be it grammar or function and so on. Yes, more and more grammar. The reason this section has been included in the books is to cater for your official syllabus. So if your learners are familiar with this, if they can use them, and obviously you don't have to spend too long on them, you can flip, assign this, and then do remedial work, do the best you can. Is it the most important session? Why? I think everything is important. Remember, we're working through skills. What do we mean by working through skills? We work through listening, reading, speaking, writing, which is what we do in real communication. You might feel that it's important because of the final test, fair enough. But all the skills are important, okay? But particularly when I'm talking about language skills, I refer to receptive and productive skills, as important as other lessons, but not the most important. Grammar, can you communicate with grammar only if you don't have any vocabulary? No. So it's not true. It's just that through grammar translation, everybody has got really focused on that, okay? It is part of what we do, but we want to get our learners to reflect, to think and identify things, to identify how things work. But again, in the next session, we'll look at some ideas about how to look at grammar. Okay, so these are some of the things that form, meaning, and function this last section does, and actually that is not the last section. The project is the last section, which you can flip completely. You can assign it to teams. They can work separately. You can get them to present online. Very, very effective. Okay, but they need to collaborate here. It's not the kind of work that should be done by a single student. It's almost too much, unless you make it very, very brief. And finally, self-reflection, since you're so interested in assessment, unless you can help your learners think about what they've learned, the project is very important, I agree. Unless you can make your students aware of what they're learning, what they have learned, what they need to focus on, what they might need a bit more work on, you can't really help them to develop. Okay? Yes, I agree. The project is very important. I think some people want to leave, so I'm afraid I'll have to stop here. I hope all of you, some of you, most of you are going to be in the next session. I know you have thousands of questions, and I'm sorry we can't discuss it all and do all of methodology in 1 hour, but we can't. So I hope to see you, so to speak, in other sessions, in the other sessions. Thank you so much, and thank you for your participation.
Thanks, Danai. Thank you so much for covering it. And as Danai said, there is only so much we can cover in an hour. There is just so much. And you have sent a lot of questions, a lot of participation from the audience. So thank you so much for all your questions. And I suppose a lot of the questions that you have asked will automatically be covered in the following sessions, because this was just session 1. that we covered. A lot of these questions will already be covered in session 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure you attend this. Someone asked, can you move to slide 27? So that's on your screen right now. Before you can leave if you need to at this point, because we understand you've got classes and other urgent things to get to. So please feel free to leave if you need to. But stay back if you want us to cover Q&A, which we are going to go to now. Before I cover the Q&A, I just want to address a few housekeepings, because I know this is the first time that we have got secondary teachers here. And we have received a lot of questions about registration and links. So I'm just going to quickly cover that for a minute or two. So what I wanted to check is, firstly, you've logged in correct, and you are in the webinar already. You don't have to log in again or mark your attendance anywhere once you're inside. It's automatically there. The next session we have is at 1 p.m. Yes, you cannot use the same link that you used for this session. So make sure when you're registering on the registration page, you will see 5 sessions. You can select all 5 of them and hit submit. Write your name, full name, as you want it on the certificate. And please don't use Arabic, use the correct spelling. And then also make sure your name is spelled correctly. And then your email address is correct, because you will receive it in the email address. And also you select all 5 of the sessions. That's one way you can do it. The other way is you can select each session and hit submit. So select for one, hit submit, select another one, hit submit. You cannot change your name once you've registered, by the way. Apologies for that. It's an automated system. So whenever you register, just make sure you're using the correct name, the correct spelling, as you want it on your certificate. So you will not be able to change your name. This name is when you are registering. So now you have received 5 registration links, correct? We've done one. We have one in the afternoon. If you have registered, you already have the link to get into the webinar. It's in the email that you received while you registered. But if you have not registered for the afternoon session, you will have to register for the session. This link is not going to work. You cannot register again, I'm afraid, because it's not going to work that way. Yes, you've got 5 emails. Amazing. Just use the correct emails. If you are using the 10 a.m. link to log into the 1 p.m. webinar, it's not going to work, because it's a different link, different time. I'll give you a tip for that. If you see the subject line, you can see the reminder email says 1 p.m., 10 a.m., don't forget to join us. So you can identify that which session this is for. So a lot of emails came in today to say that they were not able to get into the 10 a.m. webinar, but that is because they were using the 1 p.m. link. So the 1 p.m. link is only going to work for 1 p.m. and the 10 a.m. link is only going to work for 10 a.m. So one of the tips for this is just make sure you are checking the time and the date, and that should be enough. So if it's Tuesday, November 17th, 10 a.m., then use the link that you've received. We understand 5 links can be a bit confusing for you, but just make sure that you have it with you. And certificates, lots of questions about the certificates. You will receive this by next week. And people asking me for the link for 1 p.m. I cannot share this with you. It's not a general link. It's a unique link that you receive. So if you register, you will receive this email. We only have 1,000 seats. So once those are filled up, you will get an email that the event is full and you can no longer register for this webinar. Apologies about this, which is why we say do not register again. That's not going to work. If you have the email, if you have registered, it will be in your email. And you will check your junk, check your spam. It should be there. Will there be a link for every meeting? Yes, that's correct. You only received 2 emails for today. That is because this is a reminder email that you received. So for the 2 sessions tomorrow, you will receive again. Both the reminder email and the confirmation email are exactly the same. So you don't need to worry about not receiving the reminder email for tomorrow. The reminder email is going to come on the day of the webinar. I attended the session but did not register for this session. Yes, please avoid using your colleague's link. Use your link because your name is going to appear the same. If your name is appearing as Sarish and you are Danai, I'm afraid there's not much we can do. Sorry, Danai, I just need to cover this because this is the first session and we had a lot of questions.
Yes, I know. I realize. No, appreciate that. Thanks.
I'm just reading if there is anything from me. Otherwise, we can. Yes, we received the email of 1 p.m. session. Thank you. I'm sure you must have received it if you register. The attendance is automatic. Yes, that's correct. You don't need to log in your attendance anywhere. We know what time you log in, what time you log off. If I come late this afternoon and I already got the link, do I need to worry about the seat being reserved? Make sure you log in earlier if you have the link, guys, because what happens is if we reach a maximum limit, then some of you will not be able to get inside. So just make sure that you are in the correct session. Just check the time and the date, like I said. It's going to help you if you have the date and the time. Someone wants me to move to slide 29. Okay, there you go. And I think we will cover Q&A, I suppose, if you have anything else. I'm just checking, I'm reading from the chat box, by the way. I'm not reading from the Q&A. I registered for the 1 p.m. meeting, but did not get the 1 p.m. reminder link. Have you sent it already? Yes, this has been sent out already. You will receive it 2 hours prior to the webinar. So for the 1 p.m., you should have received at 11. For the 10 a.m., you should have received at 8. Yes, you can leave. No worries at all. You can leave. I cannot send you the email on the links on your email. Apologies, this is not a general link that I can share. It's automatically created when you register for the webinar. Just make sure you register for all 5 sessions. That's all I ask. And once you register with the correct email address, your name, the email you will receive in your inbox, and use the correct link to join. Because there are 5 different links, just make sure you're looking at the date, the time. How can I correct the spelling? You cannot correct the spelling once you've registered. It's going to be the same. Yes, we send the reminder email every day. So that's just because you don't forget that there is a webinar that you need to attend. Okay, I want to move on to the question answers because there are a lot of people who are probably waiting. Please yes, the reminder email. You will receive the reminder email. I will now move to Q&A quickly, owing to time. And I know we won't be able to answer all of these today, but we only have limited time, so sorry about that. But Danai, I shall start this now. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, yeah.
Oh. So the first one I have is, how can I make them like English?
I wouldn't worry about making them like English. The important thing is for them to get interested in what they're doing. And they are going to like it if it helps them do things that they enjoy outside of class too. In other words, if they are interested in videos and films and things like that, and they are exposed to them, they're going to enjoy being able to understand, being able to use it, if they're interacting with other people online, globally, or elsewhere. And I can't really forget something that I witnessed in cities mainly, in Saudi, and it was a few years ago. Actually, people spoke English to each other, particularly in malls. And it was quite amazing. So sometimes people that you don't think are good students, supposedly, if you give them a chance, you'll find that they are fluent, that they can do a lot in the language, they can communicate quite well. But they are not going to perform that well or enjoy doing things if they are put in a situation where they are inactive and all they need to do is listen to somebody talking and explaining things.
Thanks, Anai. The other one is, we try to motivate them to be more active inside the class, but unfortunately, some of them are just being present, nothing else.
Well, you can't change that. That's a fact of life, isn't it? But it's good to find out why they're inactive. Are they inactive because they can't manage? They can't understand what they need to do? Are they inactive because they think they know better and what you're doing in class is not interesting for them or not useful? There's always some sort of reason. If you can, I would try and find out. I would speak to them privately and find out what's happening. And if you do want to help learners who need a bit of reinforcement, remedial work, and so on, as I said, you have quite a few resources to use.
Thank you. The next one is, which method is considered the best one to teach in this book?
Sorry?
Sorry, which method is considered the best one to teach in this book?
We are teaching through skills. We're teaching for communication in context, spoken and written, receptive, listening, reading, and productive, speaking, writing. And we also use a number of techniques from different teaching approaches that we know work. So inquiry-based learning, task-based, you name it, whatever works, and cognitive processing, but basically we teach through skills.
Thank you. What about the expansion unit? Should I explain it for the students or is it optional?
Well, as far as I know, it's not optional, but I mean, yesterday, actually, the suggestions that were made that were very good was a number of people use them to revise and expand the units that they have done, which I think is a very good idea. But another way you can use them is if you want to assign more work to particular students to help them. You can use them in a number of different ways.
Thank you. And the other one is, what is the difference between grammar section and meaning, form, and function section in MegaGoal?
As I mentioned earlier, the form, meaning, function section is an additional section which really provides for items that are included in your official curriculum.
Okay. Could you please talk about vocabulary in MegaGoal method of teaching to keep in their long-term memory?
That's that requires a very long answer, I'm afraid. But you will find that there are quite a few different task types. I would also suggest things like word banks for them to use. And the most important thing that I think I would get learners to focus on is, again, words in context and in quotext, so that they learn them in chunks, so they notice which words they go with, in other words, collocations. They notice connotations, but mainly collocations, how they combine, and what sort of meaning they provide for.
Right. Is there any unit that is optional?
Not really, unless you deal with expansion units as optional, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And I think the last one for today would be just checking. We've got a lot of these. How to manage students differences in classes. If the teacher focus on each and every student, there will be no time to finish the material.
You don't address every student. Again, this is why collaboration is so important. This is why it's so important to make sure that the learners do work in pairs or teams. Now, if you haven't got the functions that you need to do that online, again, you can flip and set up things for them to do in preparation, working in pairs or in teams. That's the best I can do for now. But let me say something about the amount of material. The amount of material is manageable if you use it, okay, to serve the aims that it has been written for. If you use it in order to explain every word, write every word, translate every word, in order to make every student read aloud, which is not really reading for comprehension, and do all that, in other words, all the things that you would do traditionally through grammar translation, then yes, you're going to run out of time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
I guess we will round that up now.
Okay.
Checking, because I know we had a lot of questions, but I'm afraid I don't think we can cover all of this today.
No, afraid not. Thank you so much for your participation, though. I think you've been wonderful. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, everyone. This was really great, and you have been a wonderful audience. Just going to stay back if you have any questions at all. Other than that, the only thing is 1 p.m. we see you today. Inshallah, just make sure you're using the 1 p.m. link to join. And for the sessions tomorrow, that is 3 and 4, you will have to register to receive the links if you've not registered it yet. If you have registered, then you don't need to. Just use the same link that you have. But I guess that's all from us for today. We'll see you at 1 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.